Hey everyone, appreciate you watching this video. I want to talk to you about Chapter 13 and really the two ways that a Chapter 13 ends. So one is in what's called a dismissal. And frankly, that's the majority of Chapter 13. So Chapter 13 bankruptcy is where you're making payments into court. And sometimes this is called debtor's court. And it just means that for 3 years or 5 years, it could actually be extended now with COVID-19. But you're making payments to court. And you stop making those payments, well, the case can be dismissed. And when it's dismissed, now you no longer have any protection under the bankruptcy law. But the other way is when you complete your payment. So again, whether that's 3 years or 5 years, or maybe you pay it off early, but you finish making your payments, then you'll receive a discharge. Now, a lot of times we think of a bankruptcy discharge similar to a Chapter 7 discharge. But it can happen in a 13 if you make all your payments. It means all those debts that were brought into the bankruptcy court, that you've made your payments, whatever those payments are, and now those debts are discharged. Now, I'll say this, if these are ongoing obligations like a mortgage, a car, things like that, the discharge is really on the amount that you were behind coming in on. So if I file Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and I'm $10,000 behind on my mortgage, well then I'll continue to pay my mortgage, but over that 3 or 5 years, I'll pay that $10,000 back. Maybe it's a couple $100 a month, $500 a month, whatever it is, I'll pay it back. And I'll get that taken care of along with the other debts that I have. So the significance is when you get a discharge under Chapter 13 or under Chapter 7, that means whatever debts are discharged, no creditor, no collector can try to come back after you for those debts. So let's say that I have $10,000 in arrearage, sort of back payments on my mortgage, and I put forth a plan, the judge approves the plan, I make all my payments, and now I get a discharge on that arrearage. Well, then 6 months later, the mortgage company says, hey, John, you owe us $5,000 for that arrearage. No, I got a discharge. Or maybe it's a medical bill and the judge says you pay off, 50 cents on the dollar of it. And I pay that off. Well, then some debt collector comes along later and says, we're collecting the other half. No, you're not. Okay. Now, if somebody does that, that violates the discharge order, and it usually will violate, if we're talking about a debt collector, the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, let me tell you the scenario. We see this a lot. So, I'm behind on my mortgage. I filed Chapter 13 to save my house from foreclosure, and I make my payments. And as I get toward the end of that Chapter 13, there is basically something put forth, and we call it the speak now or forever hold your peace. It's from the trustee, and the trustee says, in essence, look, if anybody claims that John Watts still owes some money, you better say it now. And the mortgage company doesn't say anything. Then I get my discharge, and then after the discharge, mortgage company goes, oh, you know what? We forgot about $5,000 in fees, or wait a minute, we didn't get all your payments, so now we're coming after you for that. I say, wait, I got this discharge order. Okay, so we may be talking about a discharge violation, a violation of the FDCPA, because a lot of mortgage companies are considered debt collectors. But we also can use a law called RESPA. RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, where we may question the mortgage company in writing about why are you doing this, or you're making an error doing this, and they don't fix it, then we sue them for that. So Chapter 13, when you go into it, there's kind of two destinations. One is you don't make all the payments and the Chapter 13 fails, so that's a dismissal. Or it's a discharge because you made all your payments. So just understand that going in. And if you've been through a Chapter 13, look back and see, was it dismissed or did you get a discharge? Because a discharge is definitely a much stronger position to be in. So hope that this is helpful to you. Appreciate you watching this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.